What a way to start the season as Tyler Reddick goes back to back, now winning Atlanta to make it 2 in a row to start off the season. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Talkin NASCAR. I am your host, Andrew. It's been a little bit since we've talked about NASCAR on this show. Been very busy as of late over the last couple of days. Been very busy for me, but I do plan on releasing a lot more episodes this coming week. Hopefully, this week is going to be a little bit busy as well, but I do plan on uploading some more episodes as this week goes on. But let's go ahead and recap the AutoTrader 400 from EchoPark Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, otherwise known to me personally as Atlanta Motor Speedway. No matter what anyone says, it will always be Atlanta Motor Speedway to me, but that's neither here or there. Tyler Reddick makes it 2 in a row to open up the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season, being the first driver in 17 years, I believe, maybe 16, since Matt Kenseth to win the opening two races in a NASCAR Cup Series season. And before Matt Kenseth, it was Jeff Gordon back in 1996. And Reddick becomes the sixth driver all time to win the first two races in the NASCAR Cup Series season. Last weekend, won the Daytona 500 to open up the season for Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin in dramatic fashion in the Daytona 500 as weather loomed. And now this weekend, as more weather hit the area of Hampton, Georgia, affected qualifying for the Cup Series and affected the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Tyler Reddick walked away with the victory once again, overcoming a multi-car pileup in the middle of this race and having no right front fender on his car. He was still able to get it done, winning here in Atlanta. Very impressive stuff. We'll get to that and more later on in this episode, but let's start by talking about stage one as usual. And I'll make it very quick. Stage one was not very eventful. It was good, solid racing though, especially when we got towards the end of the stage. We saw really good racing, and it's become kind of standard now at Atlanta or EchoPark Speedway. With its high banking, very high speeds, and tight corners, it produces really good runs down the back straightaway, and even on the front stretch too. It produces really good super speedway racing, kind of the super speedway racing we would expect at Daytona or Talladega, but here at EchoPark Speedway or Atlanta, it's really good super speedway racing, especially off the corners. There's a lot more that goes into racing here at this track. You have to truly rely on the handling of your car with these tight corners that are much tighter than Daytona or Talladega. You even have to lift off the gas a little bit into the corners to keep the handling of your car stable. Otherwise, you're going to go straight up into the outside wall or just spin out on your own, with it being still a 1.5-mile track and not a 2-miler like Daytona or Talladega. So even if the beginning of stage one wasn't exactly like a ton of pushing, a ton of aggression, there are still some moving parts in it just because the track is a little bit more difficult to drive compared to some of the other intermediate, or not, excuse me, the 2-mile big drafting tracks like Daytona or Talladega. So that was able to produce good racing on its own, which is a really good thing overall. But regardless, stage one was not really anything too special. A very calm, very orderly stage. Ended up coming down towards the end when things did really start ramping up as we got to the final laps of stage one, which ended up going to Austin Cindric for Team Penske, who ended up winning stage one of the AutoTrader 400. Austin Cindric, a very good super speedway racer with a very good super speedway racing team of Team Penske, with a very good super speedway manufacturer of Ford. He would get the stage one victory, followed by Bubba Wallace, following up a very solid weekend in Daytona. Kyle Larson would actually be third in the first stage. His teammate William Byron and Chase Elliott behind him in fourth and fifth. Tyler Reddick would be in sixth after starting from the pole. Kyle Busch in seventh after claiming the Truck Series victory yesterday on Saturday. Joey Logano in eighth, Connor Zilisch in ninth, and then Ryan Blaney would round out the top 10 to begin stage one. Then moving on over to stage two, about 12 laps into the green flag run of stage two, we got our first caution of the stage. And I say stage, it was a very eventful stage two. Ty Gibbs running in 15th actually would get bumped by Josh Berry heading off into turn three. Ended up collecting several cars, being a pretty big wreck to get the race underway, especially early on in stage two. And it was a very weird wreck. I mean, you had Christopher Bell making a very aggressive move under Josh Berry to make it actually go four wide at one point. Josh Berry kind of having to be forced up the racetrack to give space to Christopher Bell, ended up putting Gibbs in an awkward position, I think, with Chris Buescher on his outside in the 17 car. So four wide scenarios, not going to work very much. Regardless, it was Gibbs coming down to give Buescher more space and Josh Berry moving up the racetrack just a little bit to give space to Christopher Bell. Ended up catching Ty Gibbs in the left rear quarter panel. He would end up spinning out up into the outside wall. Very hard impact for Ty Gibbs. His day would be done. Josh Berry would end up spinning up into the outside wall. Christopher Bell received some damage. Denny Hamlin received some damage. Riley Herbst as well. Cole Custer, John Nemechek, and BJ McLeod would all receive damage in this wreck. It was a pretty interesting wreck, though. It was something that happens a lot with the narrow track like Atlanta compared to what you have at some of the bigger drafting tracks. Then moving on over to lap 103, we get another pretty big crash. This time it was with Austin Dillon and Riley Herbst. Herbst tried to dive to the inside of Austin Dillon to make it go three wide through the middle. Riley Herbst ended up losing the nose a little bit, slid up into Austin Dillon, tapped him in 18th, and ended up causing another multi-car incident. So Dillon would end up getting a little bit of damage. Did not hit the wall, though. He stayed off the wall, had a pretty good save. Did bounce off a couple cars. Todd Gilliland, Cole Custer, I believe, as well. Some other cars were involved. Zane Smith as well. Collected a bunch of other cars. Herbst ended up going up in the outside wall. Stenhouse plowed straight into Herbst. BJ McLeod, after a rough outing last weekend at Daytona, was also caught up in this wreck. And Cole Custer as well. Barely avoided everything. He was threading the needle to try to get through all of that. Going very, very quickly. Was able to somehow get through unscathed. But another, I think, believe an 8-car crash, a 7-car crash. Austin Dillon, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, Cole Custer, Stenhouse, and BJ McLeod. BJ McLeod, Stenhouse, and Austin Dillon, excuse me, not Austin Dillon, Stenhouse, McLeod would all be done for the day. Herbst would have to go to the garage. Butt would come back out on track and would be over 100 laps down, I'm pretty sure. So with a lot of damage to his car, was able to get back out on track, obviously. But Custer, Dillon, Gilliland, and Zane Smith were all able to continue on with minimal repairs to their cars. Then we move on to lap 125, and unfortunately, we have to talk about Kyle Busch. Won the Truck Series race yesterday on Saturday for Spire Motorsports. Near 13th, moves up the racetrack, got a little loose, got a little tight, lost the handle of his car, had to pull up in the outside lane in front of Noah Gragson. Gragson wasn't really aligned with Kyle Busch, didn't really let off the gas to give Kyle Busch any room to breathe. End up hitting Busch in an awkward way, sent him spinning down the back straightaway. Only a single car spin, but Busch had a very hard head-on impact with the inside wall on the back straightaway. His day would be done as well. And Kyle Busch, I thought, was going to be another contender. He raced on Saturday yesterday and had almost won this race back in 2024. Was a part of that incredible 3-wide photo finish with himself, Suarez, and Ryan Blaney. But apparently that would not be the night. After earning some good stage points, Kyle Busch's day would be done after lap 125. And then finally, coming to the end of the second stage, lap 160, William Byron battling with Bubba Wallace for the win of the stage. But behind them, Kyle Larson in third place pulled down to try to block the fourth place driver of Shane Van Gisbergen in the number 97 car, who got a massive run heading into turns 3 and 4. Larson completely just misjudged it, in my opinion, and slammed down right into Shane Van Gisbergen and ended up spinning Larson out. Shane Van Gisbergen ended up plowing through the grass, getting a little bit of damage, while Larson just spun back up the racetrack, hit the outside wall very, very hard, and his day would be done as well. And that, in my opinion, is something that Kyle Larson just cannot do, and at this point in his career, should not be making those mistakes. I mean, he should know that in stage 2, at this point in time, he's gonna get stage points no matter what. He's up in 3rd, coming to the green and white checkered flag. I mean, he's got to have that presence of mind to know that he needs to, back off the aggression a little bit, maybe go down to like side draft SVG, maybe not to necessarily block him. But in this case, Larson tried to do that, was just way too late, and he ended up paying the price. Ended up losing stage points in stage 2 and a really good finishing result in stage 3 after a rough week in Daytona last week. So NASCAR did have to throw the caution for Larson, going back up in front of the field, which means that the two drivers, Wallace and Byron, were not racing to the line. Wallace ended up taking the stage 2 victory, followed by Byron. Chase Briscoe, after a rough week last weekend in Daytona, picked up the 3rd place finish. Wallace's teammate of Reddick finished in 4th. Chase Elliott in 5th. Carson Hocevar in 6th. Ryan Preece in 7th. Ryan Blaney in 8th. Brad Keselowski actually worked himself up into the side of the top 10. And Shane Van Gisbergen, despite getting absolutely swiped by Kyle Larson, still ended up getting a stage point, finishing in 10th. And now we move on to stage 3, and I'll just share this right now. Stage 3 was much more calmer and orderly than stage 2 was, at least in my opinion. Things did get a little chaotic towards the end of stage 3, towards the end of the race, but that's what you expect at a super speedway race. Obviously, things are going to ramp up as the time for the finish eventually draws closer. We did have a spin on lap 199 for Shane Megisbergen from 12 spinning off turn 4. Again, the dirty air at Atlanta is something that messes with the handling of the car. When another car pulls up in front of you in your wake, it will severely disrupt the balance and handling of the car. SVG just lost it by himself. And I think that's also partially that Shane Van Gisbergen, as accomplished of a racer as he is he's still figuring out the ovals. He's in his 2nd full-time NASCAR Cup Series season, his only 3rd full-time NASCAR season in general, as after spending a year in O'Reilly with calling, he wasn't great on ovals, and in his first year in the Cup Series, towards the end of the season, he wasn't great. So, I mean, Shane Van Gisbergen still is relatively inexperienced when it comes to racing on ovals, and not just to mention a very speedy mile-and-a-half racetrack that is very, very narrow and tight, like EchoPark Speedway. You expect that Shane Van Gisbergen's still going to make mistakes like this. So, in my opinion, that's not anything that Shane Van Gisbergen did wrong. It's just him not being as experienced on ovals, and especially at a tough track that EchoPark Speedway has proven to be over the last couple seasons. That's what happens there. He also got some damage from that Kyle Larson incident at the end of stage 2. Then we get another restart, and about 20-ish, maybe 25 laps later, lap 224, we had another pretty big crash on the front straightaway. Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin made a little bit of contact off of turn 4, battling for 9th place, excuse me, and it ended up causing a multi-car wreck. Hamlin got up into the outside wall, couldn't hang on to it. I think he damaged actually the right front of his car, kind of made him a little bit loose. Ended up involving AJ Allmendinger, Chris Buescher, William Byron got a little bit of damage. Tyler Reddick had some huge damage. The right front of his car was completely torn off. It was massive damage for the pole sitter. Looked like Reddick's race was done, but you'll see that that wasn't the case overall. Alex Bowman had some really big damage as well. Back-to-back weeks of Bowman having disappointing finishes at drafting tracks. Michael McDowell as well for Spire Motorsports, a really good super speedway racer, got caught up in this, and Connor Zilic as well, who was having a very, very good race here at Atlanta and EchoPark Speedway. Very similar to what he was doing at Daytona last week, got caught up in another wreck. So unfortunate for Connor Zilic. He would be done for the day as well. Hamlin and Logano were still able to continue with a little bit of damage. Hamlin and Logano would both finish later on in the race somewhere in the mid-teens. Logano actually would get spun out again off turn 4 on lap 238 after he kind of came down on Carson Hocevar. It looked like Logano was running on the outside of Hocevar off of turn 4. It looked like Logano maybe came down the racetrack a little bit. It also looked like maybe Hocevar maybe drifted up a little bit. But, I mean, in my opinion, it was just a matter of two, like, drivers meeting in the middle, I guess. Like, I think they both, like, moved up a little bit, and Logano moved down a little bit. Hocevar moved up a little bit. So, I mean, it really wasn't anybody's fault. It just ran out of real estate there, as Clint Boyer likes to say. Like, it was just there was nowhere to go. Little two drivers kind of running out of room, and Logano ended up being the one that paid the price for it. So I'm not really gonna say that was anyone's fault. It's just a racing incident, in my opinion, something that just happens over the course of any race. Then we get to lap 257, only a couple laps away, only 4 laps away from finishing the race under green flag conditions. William Byron, battling for the lead, suddenly gets loose off of turn 2, ends up brushing the outside wall, and it starts to fade back towards the back half of the pack, slow off the pace, ends up having revealing a right front tire go down. So it was a scary situation. Byron trying to avoid collecting other cars, every other driver trying to avoid hitting Byron. William ended up making contact with Austin Cindric of Team Penske, triggered another massive crash. Austin Dillon was involved. He got some pretty big damage as well. Noah Gragson was involved, but didn't get too much damage, excuse me. Denny Hamlin got some pretty big damage as well. Logano was involved again. Todd Gilliland got some pretty big damage. Disappointing season continues for him so far. Cole Custer got some pretty big damage. Nemechek, Eric Jones, Cody Ware got damage. It was a pretty big crash overall, and something that maybe could have been avoidable, but I mean, at that point, is what you can do. What can you do at that point? It's William Byron losing a tire at the front of the field. Everyone trying to avoid him. At some point, things are going to happen, and someone's going to get caught up, and someone's going to make a mistake. And that's unfortunately what happened here with William Byron and this entire crash here. So tough break for Willie B, the two-time defending series, or not series, Daytona 500 champion, after a disappointing showing last weekend. Had another rough weekend at the Atlanta reconfiguration that he's done so well at in his career so far, at least in the next gen era. And that would mean we would actually get a 10-minute red flag for the cleanup. So that was something I was not expecting overall. But yeah, we got a 10-minute cleanup for that. And we'd have to go into overtime, obviously. It would be a pretty long caution cycle, actually. And then we would get our first overtime restart. And right away, Christopher Bell will get spun by Carson Hocevar heading into turn 1. Just kind of unfortunate. He tried to go middle. He went up, oh, actually, excuse me. He went up top to block a run on the outside, tried to come back down middle, ended up getting hooked, sent into the outside wall. I thought Bell was going to maybe be a repeat winner of the Atlanta race this time from last year. He won it last year and is on his way to winning 3 in a row. I thought that was a thing we could maybe see again out of Bell after a rough start at Daytona, but that would end up not being the case. And then we get to our second overtime restart. Bubba Wallace leading the way with Hocevar on his outside. Really good racing overall. Big runs for Hocevar and Reddick. And suddenly Tyler Reddick, I just mentioned him, he had thrust himself back up into the conversation despite not having a fender on his car after being caught up in that earlier crash in stage 3 earlier in the stage. It was like, where did he come from? But he ended up still being in line to get the victory, working with his teammate of Bubba Wallace, with Chase Briscoe also assisting. It was the Toyotas with Hocevar, and his teammate of Daniel Suarez was also up there. Ross Chastain was up in the mix as well. It was really Toyotas versus Chevys. Ended up heading into turn 4 on the final lap after taking the white flag. Reddick had the lead, followed by Briscoe, and it looked like Chase Briscoe tried to back up to, I believe, Bubba Wallace to potentially go get a run at Tyler Reddick off turn 4, but that ended up costing him, because that just meant that Reddick was able just to ride off into the sunset unopposed, unthreatened by anyone behind him, to claim his second victory of the season, making it 2 in a row for Reddick and 23-11 Racing. What a wild ride it was for Tyler Reddick in this race overall. Started from the pole after winning the Daytona 500 for his owner, Michael Jordan, who was in attendance, and he was in attendance once again for Atlanta. His teammate Bubba Wallace was helping him. Again, started from the pole, got caught up in a crash, ended up having no right front fender on his car, but still managed to find a way to the front and was able to come away with the victory, making it 2 in a row for Tyler Reddick. So congratulations to him. Reddick had a disappointing season last year, didn't get a win at all, came close, Many times he came close. Meanwhile, his teammate Bubba Wallace was able to win the Brickyard 400 while Reddick remained winless. This time, though, Reddick is not going to let that happen, though. He is going to get his first two wins out of the way early, not go winless in this season. What a rate! What a way to start off the season for Tyler Reddick. Let's take a look at the top finishers from tonight. Reddick, as I mentioned, started from the pole, got some damage, was still able to come away with the victory. Chase Briscoe started all the way in the back in 34th, managed to march his way up to second. Ross Chastain in third. Carson Hocevar once again up front at the end of a drafting track race. Last weekend it was at the Daytona 500. He was up front until he got wrecked in front of the field. Carson Hocevar went down several laps early, had a flat right rear tire, I'm pretty sure, as well. So he ended up going a couple laps down, was still able to rally his way back up through the front of the field and be there at the end. He was a popular pick heading into this weekend to win this race. Daniel Suarez comes away with a top 5 finishing result. He's been very, very strong for Spire Motorsports to start off the season. How about Shane Van Gisbergen? Despite getting caught up in a crash and spinning out on his own, still finishes in 6th. Zane Smith, back-to-back top 10 efforts for Front Row Motorsports number 38 car. Bubba Wallace in 8th once again. Came up short once again. I feel bad for Bubba. I mean, last weekend he led the most laps at Daytona, and this weekend came pretty close to leading the most laps. He might have actually. I don't remember the statistics, but he was up front a majority of this race and only comes away with an 8th place finish. That's disappointing for him, but still a good race for Bubba. Got some really good stage points. I'm pretty sure he was actually the driver with the most stage points over the course of tonight. So Bubba's still walking away with a lot of points tonight. Ryan Preece in 9th was kind of quiet all day long. I'm not gonna lie. Really emerged late in the going. Same with Blaney. Chase Elliott was up front pretty much all day. Finished in 11th. AJ Allmendinger in 12th. Denny Hamlin finished in 13th. Got some good points back as well. Noah Gregson in 14th, and then Chris Buescher. Smooth, calm, and consistent. That is what Chris Buescher is. He ended up finishing in 15th. I think he was also caught up in one of those crashes as well over the course of this race. Some other notable finishers, Joey Logano in 18th, Brad Keselowski in 17th. Two drivers who started up inside the top 10, the top 5. Both had pretty solid points. Keselowski and Logano kind of faded towards the end. Still got some pretty decent results. Christopher Bell ends up in 21st, was victim of that last crash on that restart. Looked like he was going to be a contender in that second, or in that overtime, excuse me, ended up getting wrecked. So unfortunate for Bell. He has dug himself quite a hole to start off the season. William Byron and Kyle Larson, two Hendrick teammates, outside the top 25. Rough days for both of them. Connor Zilic, I was really liking what I was seeing from Connor Zilic tonight at Atlanta. He looked really, really good out there in that number 88 pink Tootsie's Chevrolet Camaro. Ends up finishing in 30th. Kyle Busch, another rough result for him as well. So some big names back towards the back of the finishing order as Tyler Reddick walks away with his second victory of the season. But that's a look at your top finishers from the AutoTrader 400 from EchoPark Speedway. Let's go ahead and give this race my race review rating on the triple R scale. I feel so dumb saying that every single time. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I feel so dumb whenever I say that. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and rank it here. I thought this race was really, really good. I thought this was better racing than Daytona. I really thought it was. Now, does it beat Daytona on the course of like the prestige and overall like the fan experience and like the weekend overall? Probably not. It overall doesn't. But if we're talking about the racing product from this weekend in Atlanta and comparing it to last weekend at Daytona, two, I guess you can call them super speedway racing tracks. Like, if you want to compare those racing the racing of those side by side, Atlanta blows it out of the water. 100%. 100% it does. The racing, there's a lot more aggression. And even when there wasn't, the racing still was very, very good. The drivers had their hands full with their cars. The handling over the course of a run started to go away. They were having to lift out of the gas. They weren't full throttle around the track the entire time. They were having to lift out of the gas, which created really humongous runs down the back straightaway, down the front straightaway. You had a couple big crashes in there, had a little bit of chaos, so that was cool. But this race overall was really, really good. Qualifying sucks that it got rained out. Obviously, the weather kind of impacted this weekend. But overall, though, it was still a sunny day. It was a beautiful sunset, too, that finished under the lights. Really good day to race in Hampton, Georgia at the EchoPark Speedway. So, with that being said, I'm going to give this race, the AutoTrader 400, a 88% on the Triple R scale. It was better than Daytona, in my opinion. I truly think it was. I'm knocking a couple points down because maybe there's just a little bit of other things that went into it as well. The weekend overall with qualifying getting canceled and everything, it's gonna knock it down a little bit. The rain and weather kind of getting in the way of things. It's getting a little annoying now because we've had it 2 weeks in a row where 500 got moved up an hour or two, and now we have qualifying canceled for the Cup Series in Atlanta at Hampton, Georgia's Echo Park Speedway. But still, 88%. That's a B plus rating. It is not bad. I feel like I honestly may be underrating it a little bit, but I'm feeling like I'm being a good I feel like it's a good score. It's conservative enough that I'm not being too aggressive with it, but at the same time, I'm not like completely underrating it. But you guys are gonna have to let me know down in the comments. Am I underrating it? I might have to ask you guys that. Yeah. Am I underrating it? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. I would really like to hear your opinions. Oh boy, I know I'm gonna absolutely get torched in the comments after this episode. One more quick thing, I gotta talk about Fox here and their coverage. Yeah, once again, overall, I think it was fine coverage overall. Some of the timing of the side-by-sides were, a little annoying. It always seemed like there was a crash during side-by-side coverage, so that was, a little annoying, but at least it wasn't during a commercial, so that's something. I will say the side-by-side racing was good. I will give Fox credit for that. They even had side-by-side during pit stop cycles under caution, so I mean, Fox, I would say for Echo Park Speedway did a decent job, in my opinion, like with their coverage. It's just their broadcast booth, like even for the Truck Series race, has zero energy overall. It's kind of annoying. So I would like them to, be more enthusiastic about things. But I mean, I don't know if that's even a thing that they can produce at this point. Like enthusiasm, like Adam Alexander. Like I wish they had that type of energy overall, but that's neither here nor there. I thought Fox did a decent job. They did a fine job. They did a good job. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was good. It was a good coverage today by Fox for the NASCAR Cup Series AutoTrader 400 from Echo Park Speedway. Again, let me know what you thought of this race down in the comment section below. But that'll do it for this episode, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you enjoyed the race. Again, let me know down in the comments what you thought. If you liked what I'm doing over here, go check out all the other episodes. I got over like 90 episodes that I've done on this show. You don't have to check them all out, but you can probably go check out my last episode. I think it was a wrap up from Daytona, like a kind of like wrapping up some stories. There's some power rankings involved in that one, so you can go check that one out as well. More content from this show coming out very, very soon. I have a lot of episodes that I need to get working on, honestly, and I'm not like completely thrilled that I have to do all those, but at least my schedule will be getting a little bit easier as we head into the month of March and towards the end of February. So things will be definitely getting a little bit smoother. I'll be uploading more content. I should be getting some Truck Series and O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race recaps out to you guys very, very soon. And some power rankings will be on the way as well, so don't go anywhere with that. Also, go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew, the other show I co-host with my buddy Miles. Got some episodes still out there. Haven't posted in a little bit, but schedules, they exist for a reason, and sometimes you can't fit stuff in. So, anyways, go check it out. Links will be in the description, and I will see you in the next episode of Talkin NASCAR or whatever I do next. So, yeah, stay tuned. I'll see you then. Bye.